Produced by Victoire.
Masters of Wrestling gives a special thanks to Mr. Jesse Hernandez and the EWF. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Style in the Podcast. I am today your star, the Master Emir, and my regular co-star, Rico Constantino, is traveling right now, ladies and gentlemen. So he may or may not join us on this episode. If you see him pop up, great. If not, he'll be back with us next week right here. But before we begin, I ask that you all lay the smack down on that subscribe button. That's why the subscribe button's there. It's free. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the likes. And most importantly, share it with your friends and family, because you're not going to want to miss this episode that we got coming up for you today. We are in the world of pro wrestling, but as you all know, there are things that happen outside of wrestling. There is a world outside of pro wrestling, and that's what we're going to delve into today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our guest. He is a fellow United Wrestling Network pro wrestling superstar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Rob McKnight.
Hello. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. And Rob, like I said, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I met Rob about a couple of months ago now, United Wrestling Network. And I tell you, he's a true talent, gifted individual, pro wrestler. He's in a band. He's performing. He's touring around the world. And that's how we got into a conversation that we want to share with you today. So, Rob, but before we begin that, Rob, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can see you, about your music and all of that before we begin.
Sure. The plugs, Instagram, Facebook, Rob_shit on Instagram. I have other alias besides Rob McKnight. And then my band is called Stiff Nights. We got a show coming up in Tarzana on August 2nd. We got one in New Orleans in September on the 6th at Siberia. I'll be performing my wrestling shindig in Santa Cruz on the 26th with the band Dayglow Abortions is playing.
Okay.
And then they do matches in between the shows. And then, Circle 6, GCW, United Wrestling Network. I'm on all those platforms all the time. So
Yeah.
That's pretty much my info.
And then tell us a little bit about, because you know, obviously in United Wrestling Network, you're one half of Gunk.
Right? Oh, yeah, Gunk.
Right.
Me and Valentine.
Yep.
Both New York kids. Now stars and young men at the United Wrestling Network.
Yeah, absolutely. You are stars indeed, star-studded. You know, I don't think you're going to be clashing with us because we're both on the same side, Delirium and Gunk. So, but we'll see. You know, anytime we'll tell. But but on the indies as well, you perform as a singles guy. Then you're in another team, right? Or I've seen photos. Or tell us. You know, it's all over.
4 tag teams I'm running right now.
Wow, dude!
Which is a good thing. That's job security. For Wildcat Sports in New Orleans, I got the Ringworms with Chuck Devine and Izzy James, NWA Texas champion, just joined us.
Okay.
And then over at Circle 6, we got Fubar with me and Schlack, the human meat grinder. And then for GCW, we started doing a tag team called Buck Nasty with me and Buck Skinnerd.
Yeah.
Out in Arkansas. And then now and United Wrestling Network Gunk with me, Casanova Valentine. So it's cool.
Yeah. It is very cool, man. I would say. And do you prefer tag team over singles work?
You know, I don't know. I go either way.
Yeah.
I do like just getting in there by myself and working, but it's fun to come up and learn from everybody around me. Like, okay, cool. This is how they do it.
Yeah.
Let's see what I can pick up and put into my arsenal.
Yeah.
So for learning experience, tag teams, for just working, just me and someone else, just let's go.
Champions. They're not born in the gym. It starts from the inside and it works its way out. Do you feel it more difficult to obtain muscle? Are you tired or perhaps depressed? Then there's a solution. Our brand new partner and sponsor, Care Aesthetics of La Quinta, are here to help you get restored to optimal health. Just use the contact information in this video and schedule your free consultation. Be sure to mention the name of the podcast, whether that be Power and Glory, Styling, Masterclass, or Hey Roma, when doing so. We wish you all the best in your road to optimized health. And now, back to the show.
Just me and someone else. Just let's go in there and just go one-on-one, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a big experience, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of learning experience, because Rob, this kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight. I mean, obviously you've been prepping, you've been training, you've been practicing for some time. So again, for the benefit of those who aren't familiar with your work, just tell us a brief synopsis, like when you got in, who trained you, that kind of stuff.
Sure. I was actually living out in Joshua Tree in 2017, broke up with my girlfriend, and then went and lived in my van in Venice Beach. And my buddy, who also was from the same background as me, of like freight train riding and living in squat houses, he cleaned his act up and he taught me the ropes. His name's Bat Boy. And he was like, this is what you have to do. This is the school you should go to. That's why I went to LA for this school right here, Santino Bros.
Oh, yep. Okay. Santino Bros. Yep.
Pushed out a lot of great talent. So I was living in my van actually with him in front of this chick's house, Muck Rock. She's a very famous graffiti artist. I met her in a squad house in like 2004. Okay. And then hadn't seen her in years. And then she let us live in front of her house to use her shower and stuff like that. And then like I started picking up grip work. I had my motorcycle, my surfboard, and my dog.
Yeah. I
don't know. I was living the dream, dude. Like it was like a movie, you know. And then eventually got a warehouse. And then just started training and working the circuit. Everything shut down in 2020. So that was a year kind of taking off of my career. Mm-hmm. So mainly like 2021, 2022 is when my whole career really kind of started. And then I just like, okay, time is of the essence. Let's no BS. Let's hit it hard.
Yeah.
And this is not a hobby. This is my career.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, no, it sounds good, man. It sounds like a very familiar story. But kudos to you as well, Rob. Like I said, when we spoke that night, it's very impressive how you turned your life around. And like you said, and I think it's interesting how certain people, and I don't know if you concur with me on this, Rob, some guys seem to get it, like in their 20s, right? They have that drive or whatever it is, the focus, the time is now is of the essence. Some people, it becomes later. I guess the term is a late bloomer sort of thing.
Yeah.
I can definitely concur with that, sure. And I see other guys like that. But I think obviously it builds character because now you have these experiences to pull from, right? You've got a huge arsenal. I mean, like I said, you've been around the country, right? Dare I say you've been around the world? Yeah. Yeah.
I toured Europe, toured Canada, toured Mexico in a hardcore band that I had called Bucket Flush.
Dang, dude.
Put out records. This is actually one of the album covers of the record right here.
Okay.
That's with a band called Fang. We did a split with them. There's a documentary about me and my squad house that I had and our band going on tour called Bucket Flush the Movie. It's like a 45-minute short documentary. Okay. It got submitted in a bunch of film festivals in 2010. It got toured around. That's the reason we got to go to Europe because of that. So building the character, pulling it from the hardcore band I was in, which was very G.G. Allen-esque. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Not familiar with him.
But pretty much just no rules, just being troublemakers. But that only goes so far. And then you're like, hey, dude, I can't be 30 years old running around, pissing on stage, fighting people, getting kicked out of bars, having windows smashed out. You got to kind of elevate up in life, take things a little. You got to go with the motions. If you get stuck in that timeline, you just kind of
Yeah, exactly. You got to evolve. You got to take what's coming and you've got to apply it to your life to become better. And that's what you know about, right? I mean, we talked about this, Rob. I mean, and we'll jump into our subject right now, actually, before we lose some of the viewers here. So let's talk about the supernatural, okay? Because now you've been to some dark places, let's say, right? You have,
yeah.
All right. You've seen some strange stuff. and you've come through it now. And now I'd say, is it fair to say you're pretty much a success story now, Rob, because you've got property, you've got your career, you got band, you've got wrestling, so you're turning into quite the success story now, right? But you've seen this darker side of life. So let's dive into that first and foremost. Um, Supernatural experiences, Rob. When was the first time you encountered something that was slightly off that made you think, what the heck's going on here? What was that? Do you remember that?
I wouldn't say that it was like a like I see something in the room kind of thing.
Mhm.
I see it in what entities take over in people.
Yeah, yeah,
That's probably where any sort of I feel like the human body can get taken over by dark entities and start seeing things. And man, I couldn't even tell you exactly a point, but I could definitely tell you that drugs and alcohol lower people's vibrations to get susceptible to take over people where you're like, you're not who I think you are. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
um, by people's actions and people's voice changes and people's energy, and you just feel it, and you're like, "Yo, what happened?
yeah.
Something changed in the room." You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, because, I think we touched on this. Things are a gateway. It's not just drugs and alcohol, it's also objects. There are
Yeah,
certain, we talked about this too, right?
yes,
Objects. And how that can jump into somebody, which then would lead me to ask this question to you, Rob. If you saw, because I know you believe in God, you're a man of
yes,
faith.
yes.
Now, if you were not a person of faith, and you were seeing this stuff. What baffles my mind is those people that then still see this and deny the presence of good and God. It's very strange. It's like, well, you can see this evil stuff is there, right? But you're not admitting. Now, I want to ask you though, did you always have a faith in God or did this develop? Okay, so
No,
what
I was atheist
you
for a
were?
long time. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
Okay. So what was the breaking point? What made you shift from that way of thinking?
Pretty much from the whole world, like probably like 4 or 5 years ago, when everyone, I was like, uh, we can't all laugh in the devil's face anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I used to dangle, my 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 soul, I guess, in front of the devil's face and been like, come on, take a bite. You can have,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it to you. But I'm in control. No, I wasn't in control. I
No.
thought I was in control. So probably like 4 or 5 years ago, when I just feel like I saw so much demonic entities all around, that I
Yeah.
was, all right, if the devil is real, then God has to be real.
Yeah.
And what side do I want to be on?
Right. What side do you want to be on in eternity? That's the terrifying question right there. That's
Yeah.
a lot of people, like you just said, though, it's like you seal this negativity, you seal this evil. You would think then people would just think, oh yeah, well, of course, God good and God must exist because we're seeing it. But we're seeing it, there's a proliferation of it now, Rob. You remember a few years ago at the Grammys, I think it was Sam Smith was worshiping the devil on stage and all this other stuff, like literally parading it directly in your
Yeah.
face,
Rituals,
right?
dude.
Ri-
They have rituals. They have to get you to accept. Sorry, cut you off real quick, but they have to. They give you once you give them permission to do it, then they can take over. Then they can continue on with their rituals to do what they have to do to get you to convince that they're on the right side, which is the wrong side.
So let's talk about that, Rob, again, for the benefit, because again, one of the reasons we create these podcasts is to put something good into the world, right? We want to educate, inspire, and entertain. So for somebody who's listening to a lot of music, right? You just said something, rituals. Now you're in the music industry. So
Yeah.
tell us then some of these people, you don't have to name names or whatnot, but just like what do people need to look out for? If they're listening to music, what would be a telltale sign? This is an indoctrination. This is a ritual.
The tuning of the instruments.
Okay.
They tune the instruments in certain hertz,
Okay.
right? So I could be wrong with these numbers. I could have them backwards, but I think it's 435 is what was a healing frequency. And they turned everything in the early 1900s to 440, which is
Wow.
more demonic, uncomfortable feeling. So things like the bells in all over the world, every town had a bell. It would ring every hour, and it would send a energy out that would heal you.
Okay.
And once they destroyed all the bells in the late 1800s through wars, hey, a war happened, and they conveniently target certain things, churches, bells,
Hmm.
everything, any sort of history timeline, so they could rewrite history. It all convenes together.
Yeah.
So things to watch out for is that you have to realize that these are not that there's entertainment to walk away from, but it can leave an imprint on your soul and your vibration and your body. Sure.
Mm.
And then it's you have to realize it's entertainment and it's not real. But
Mhm.
I mean, I sat there on acid one time, right, at a party, and I started changing the music and watching everyone's behavior. So I would put on some heavy metal and watch everyone get loud and energetic. Then I would put on some classical music, watch everyone quiet, lay down. So
Mm.
it's like they don't even remember. You don't even realize your what you're doing because of the frequency that's vibrating through your body.
Yeah, well, music's very powerful. If we remember, the chief musician in heaven was the devil before he got kicked out, right? So
Yeah,
he came bringing music to earth. And I've often thought that too. It's like if you listen to music from the 80s, let's just pick one out of the hat, like a synthesizer, like a never-ending story or something like that. But
yeah,
then you listen to, like you said, you hear a Marilyn Manson or something. Obviously, apples and oranges. You're getting pulled in that negative direction, right? But like you said, there is a fine line between entertainment and the reality of what you're doing. So, someone like you, Rob, how do you address that? Because now you do rock and metal and stuff like that. So, what process do you go through to make sure that you're not being used as a vessel, as a channel to do something evil? What do you do to protect that?
sure. That's a that this whole band Stiff Nights that I have. It was the whole ideology of it was to stop dwelling on the negative and start being a centrist that there's good and evil. So all the songs are designed around life and death, dark and light. Instead of just like a lot of hardcore and rock and roll is just like all negative energy. I'm just getting this out of me, but it's like you're placating to the devil's movement. So it's like positive, just having more positive lyrics with a story that doesn't end with just negativity, but just something you can relate to. And then the tuning of our guitars, we tuned the guitars to a different hertz,
Okay.
so it has that more positive vibration going through it. So that's pretty much the two things that you can't deny. There's bad things, and you can't deny there's good things. So it's like play down the center and just like kind of have that be the feeling of the band.
Yeah. Now, since you went on this change in your life, I've got to ask you because a lot of people do. A lot of people who become a believer in Jesus Christ, that is my Lord and Savior, as they become people of faith, they often incur spiritual attacks. Because obviously, if you were playing for one side, now all of a sudden you go to the other, you're a target now. So
Yeah.
now for you, did you experience anything like that once you made that decision to change? Were there any instances or people that were friends of yours now they don't like you for no unknown reason, nightmares, sleep paralysis, anything like that you happened to you?
Sure. A lot of karmic repercussions.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of things that have bogged me down in life, and I'm like, why is this not working out for me? And I kind of look, and I can literally relate to like bad things that I've done, and been like, I think this is why this isn't working out for me. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. That energy carries within your soul,
Mhm.
and it will catch up to you.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
will pay the price, and that's why you have to completely change your mindset and go and start and accept everything. Hey, I'm paying the price for this, and hey, I went to a show, I stole a guitar. Now now nothing's working out with my guitars. Now I lost the guitar. Now something got stolen.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And I can't fight it. It's just like you have to pay the piper, dude.
so you're right. Essentially, anybody watching this right now, anything crooked in your life, drop it immediately. Like I said, it's not, it's not worth it. It's not worth it in the long run. Even bitterness, though, Rob. I talked about this. Being bitter towards somebody, being negative to wishing ill will. That's one of the worst things. When you hear people and they say, "Oh, I wish this person," my gosh, you don't know what you've just said to yourself.
Spirit, it's called spelling. You're casting spells through your words.
Yep.
And yeah, don't wish anything you don't want done to you.
No.
That is real. We're a lot this plane that we live on of existence is a lot more malleable than you think. It is not to be messed with in any capacity where it isn't. This is not a joke.
No.
You will pay for any bad repercussions that you have. And also, as far as people, man, I've kicked a lot of people out of my life recently in the last year and a half that I said, what do I have a love for this person, but they don't wish the best for me. Right. Why am I constantly trying to be there for them when I know they don't even wish the best for me?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. That's all the energy that I'm around. That's, and you have to love them from a distance. I wish the best for you, but I can't be on your journey anymore. You know?
Well, yeah, it's like iron sharpening iron. We hear about that in the Bible. Iron sharpens iron. You cannot associate with, light cannot associate with darkness. And I think that's what you're seeing. The more you've been pulled to the light, you're seeing this darkness and you can't be around it anymore because you are the one that is exposing it. So if you're standing in, like you talked about, I've often thought about this principle too. If somebody is inherently, let's call them possessed, right? Because that's a reality, right? They're possessed by an evil, demonic entity, spirit. They can't stand being around you, right? They can maybe conceal it. You can feel it as a child of God. You can feel it. You know. But you're going to expose them. So they're going to start attacking you behind your back for no apparent reason whatsoever. They don't even realize. And like you said, that's how malleable our bodies are. Our bodies are a vessel, right? Now they can either be used for the Holy Spirit of God or other. That's it. How many people, Rob, have we seen that have tragically passed away because they've allowed the evil to corrode them to a point where they've either taken their own lives or or done evil. I mean, this is a sad reality. But let's touch on Hollywood too, because you're in the thick of it. You've done grip work. You've been around the movie business. You see that's equally as tarnished, right? So,
oh, dude, I sit there and shake my head, and I'm like, this is pure evil.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel bad I contribute to it for some dough, but it's like not everything's like that all the time, but especially some of the music videos is just targeting you to be, not care for your body, just think about greed, think about who you can use for sexuality, make money, just care about yourself. I'm on these music videos and there's somebody going, yeah, you're doing a great job. Keep talking about how evil you are. And I'm like, wow,
dude.
Right? And I'm talking about, dude, so much propaganda I've been a part of. Mm-hmm. And I've worked on sets with very, very high profile artists.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I never in my life, you can see the evil there. When they walk by, it's cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's completely cold. Family members that are with them.
Gosh, dude.
Beady eyes, completely black, just looking like, mothers or something to some famous artist.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, you have no soul. You completely gave it over.
Yeah.
But then, then I worked with Billy Corgan on Smashing Pumpkins music video. Greatest guy ever. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great energy.
Yeah.
Just a project to go by. Talk to me. He didn't have to talk to me, talking about wrestling for 10, 15 minutes, and they're like, yo, we got to start rolling. And I was like, yeah, God, I want to walk away now. He was just so excited and such great energy.
Yeah.
So grateful. So it's not always all bad.
No, exactly. It's not all bad. That's the thing is, as I was thinking about this the other day, how some people, and even though yourself, yeah, you may be working in the industry, but that's another opportunity that's God has given you to be someone, a positive light in an area of darkness. It doesn't mean that you just close your eyes to the rest of the world and don't look at anything and don't do anything. I made that mistake when I was early in my walk. I literally thought, okay, now I have to shut my eyes to everything, including pro wrestling. I went away from it for a number of years because I
Yeah,
thought there's no way this can be a benefit to God at all. But
right.
then I was corrected. See, I was corrected in my walk. I thought, well, actually, you know what? Maybe it's good that there are some in there who believe and are a positive influence to the kids and can help them. So it's the same thing with the music industry. I don't like you mentioned Billy Corgan. I've seen him on his show, his podcast. I get zero impression that that guy's filled with evil. Zero.
Yeah,
He's an entertainer. That's it. He's just
yeah.
an entertainer. So
That's funny that you. Okay, so I grew up um with Ugo Savinovich's kids. You know who that is? The Spanish announcer for the WWE.
yes, yes, yes,
He,
yes.
I went through his table. He's a legend in Puerto Rico, hardcore legend. He's the one I grew up. I lived in my truck actually. I would wait for him to go to work to WWE. I would sneak in his house, shower, eat, go through their fridge, take their prescription pills,
Yeah.
and he's the one who was like always talked about God. So at like 17 years old, I was like, and he would tell me all the other wrestlers that were all about God and faith and stuff like that. And he was trying to get me, and he even tried to get me to do wrestling too at 25 years old. He's like, your story is great. You should be a wrestler. And I was like, yo, I should. So it's funny because like I was always like, oh, wrestling is filled with people, religious people.
Yeah.
That's what I thought because that's what he pretty much explained that to me that like all the old timers had lived a really hard life
Yeah.
and they always turn to God.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was just like, oh, there's a lot of religious people in wrestling.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what years and the old timers more, not so much this time, but there's some people out there that we don't even know that they don't, they just don't wear it on their sleeve or whatever, or talk about it.
Yeah, no, there's definitely the ones, but I think you can identify them, Rob. It's like, and you mentioned there, you said there were a lot in the past. Well, that explains a lot then, because, oftentimes we compare the golden age of pro wrestling to
Yeah,
today, right?
yeah,
Now, I'm not downplaying our generation because there are a lot of good. I mean, look at you. Look at what we're doing. Look at what United Wrestling Network is doing. There are the good ones starting to bubble up to the surface again. But there is a desperate need for role models. I mean, all you got to do is look at some of the wrestling out there and hear some of the stuff that some of these people are saying on live TV and understand there are little kids out there, right?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, I don't know where the disconnect happened, Rob, because when you and I grew up, these guys were role models. They really were. They were Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man. Regardless of what they were doing backstage in their personal lives, they lived the character as role model, right?
they knew the power that they had and they understood the infliction it could have on a young mind,
Yeah.
right? Because that I feel like until the 1990s, if it was music or entertainment, you wanted to impress your peers as much as you wanted to impress your grandparents. You
Yeah.
wanted your grandparent. That's the family structure that we cared about so much. But then the 90s came and it became just think about yourself and just think about what you do and only care about you. And that's why Instagram is so popular now. How many I share videos of other wrestlers that I'm friends with to go, this is who I roll with. These are my boys. This is who I support. I don't have WWE pushing me, right?
Right.
So I was like, why can't I be WWE? I'm going to promote dudes like Matt Justice, Jimmy Lloyd, Casanova Valentine. Anytime I see my friends doing something that I'm like, whoa, this is cool. I'm proud of you, and I'm gonna share it because
Yeah.
it's not just about me. It
Right.
takes more than one to build a village or whatever that saying is.
Yeah, it takes an army, dude, and you're right. And I'm of the same mindset right here. That's why we did the podcast, right? We're
Yeah,
not going to just sit here and me stare into the camera and talk about whatever I think. I want to shed a spotlight on people like yourself, right?
yeah,
And other wrestlers that I find, wow, this guy is talented. He's a decent human being, and he could be of worthy service to help inspire the next generation. That's it. You know, I mean, and like you said, that's what it's all about. Otherwise, it's me, me, me. Now, we talked about the family structure too, because obviously to God, the family structure is everything.
Yeah.
Okay. It's everything. And if you pull one slot out, the whole deck of cards is going to fall. It's God, it's Christ, it's man, it's woman, it's children.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
And you try to move those numbers around, it don't work.
No.
It never will. It never has, and it's not gonna tomorrow, and it's not gonna today. Yeah,
Mm,
do that order.
yeah.
That's what all the countries that have prospered in the world have always stuck to that order. And what is wrong with that order? I don't understand. Why is that? It's not offensive. It's
No.
the way it was designed.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing you pull that out, and there's no pecking order. There's no respect. There's no. I mean, there's no order. It's chaos.
Yeah.
And that's a threat. And the devil loves chaos,
Yeah.
right? So that's a when you have that order, that's a threat to the devil. The devil's like, oh man, how am I going to break this structure?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? Pull the kids out of the bottom, get the man and wife to feel like they don't need each other, and it all just God falls right through the bottom.
Yep. Yep.
Literally,
I tell you, yeah.
down steps.
It's awful, Rob. I don't know if you caught this on social media, but there was the actress. What's her name? Charlize Theron, and she was in. Ironically, she was in The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu
Oh, that's
Reeves.
a crazy movie.
Crazy movie, right? And she came out more recently. The woman is 50 years of age, right? Nothing wrong with that, but she should be mature at this point. And she's bragging that she doesn't need a man, that she just basically used and slept with a 26-year-old, and it was fantastic, and she doesn't care. And she's basically going around doing that kind of stuff now. And she thought that that was cool to say that in public. Absolutely ridiculous. Because you and I talked about it. What is sexual? Is it the lowest vibration?
The
Explain
lowest vibration.
explain that, Rob.
So I mean, your chakra system all the way down is all color coded. It's been that way for since I can't even tell you how long, but I'm sure people figured out this color coding. And your sexuality is the last thing that is your personality. So if you have sexuality as your mindset and that's your top priority and that's your top being, well, you're not going to be very conducive to information for anybody or a partnership or a leadership. I mean, anybody that just talks about sexuality the whole time, what are you going to get out of them?
Right.
They're only trying to use your body as a vessel for something. How does that help anybody? How does that connect? How do you connect a physical? It's not just a physical connection. It's a mental connection. And if you just want to go just a physical connection, it's never going to last. And it's just going to be not conducive to any sort of prosperity in life.
No, and exactly. And you've got someone like Charlize Theron, huge reach, right? Huge influence. Now she's fallen to that depraved mindset. You know, you get the word like a depraved mindset comes to mind. There was a famous, not famous, just well respected preacher who just passed away this week, John MacArthur. He's actually not far from where you're at, actually, Rob. I think he was in Semi Valley or somewhere like that.
Okay.
And he he's a great guy, spoke tremendously about faith, about the Bible and whatnot. And he was talking about that, the depraved mindset that we really are. We're seeing it more and more. Like I said, I'm not going to name names in pro wrestling, but I did see some stuff more recently that literally made me almost want to throw up. Some of the words that were being spoken on live TV by
Yeah.
so-called top stars. And I was just, I don't mean to sound like an old man, but I was appalled because
Yeah.
again, I can't help but think of those little kids that are sapping this up. Unlike you and I that said train, say your prayers, and take your vitamins, right? These people are telling them to, you know, rebel against their parents and all that, which we all do. Like I said, again, we're not going to claim to be saints, you and I, not me and not you,
Not,
right? Of course right, exactly. Of course we did, right? But we're not going to promote it. See what I'm
yeah,
saying? There's a difference, right?
yeah. It's what is your end game on saying stuff like that? Who are you trying to impress? You're trying to impress your friends, your peers, and yourself. You're taking no consideration of anybody else. You're just thinking they're just thinking about this is how I feel, and it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the most important thing. You don't even realize that you're reaching through the television screen into the minds of the children, and you're gonna they're gonna carry these thoughts with them forever. I still sing Alanis Morissette songs, right? I
Right.
don't even like Alanis Morissette. Why are those songs still in my head repeating? It's
Yeah.
like Ray, dude. Do you see? It got programmed into my
Yeah.
head, and
Yeah.
the Spice Girls song when it came out, I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
even hear the song. I woke up, I knew the words before. I remember I fell asleep in '95, right? And that
Yeah.
song, they put it on TV over and over and over again. I
Yeah.
woke up singing the song. I was like, "What song is this?" The next day, I turned on TV. I was like, "The number one hit song." I was like, "I didn't even hear the song.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
I know the words? How do I know
Yeah.
the chorus?" And
Yeah.
so I fell asleep, and it was on the TV all night on MTV too,
Yeah.
repeating over and over again. So your brain is like a sponge, and I still have it in my head to this very day. So you have to really be on top of things to weed out all the garbage
Yeah.
and reprogram your brain.
And it's true. You mentioned the Spice Girls there because I again, once you said it, I heard the music, and actually her nephew, one of the who was the main girl, the one with the orange hair. So
Ginger.
her Ginger, yeah. So her nephew was in my class at high school. So he was like very he's like, oh, Mr. Oh, my aunts, the Spice Girl, Mr. Hot Shot, and all this. But anyway, that was by the by. But I heard it. I actually heard that song recently. And my gosh, I heard the lyrics for the first time. Back then, they're awful, Rob. They're basically saying if you want to, basically they're just talking about sleeping with them. That's all it
No,
is.
they're saying that you have to get approval from my friends first before you get approval from me. So your friends thought, and what are the target audience? 10 years
Yeah.
old.
Yep. No.
A 10-year-old doesn't know anything about quality of a relationship.
Yeah.
And you're telling these kids, get the approval from them first, and then I'll approve. How about get the approval of your parents?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're removing slowly, brick by brick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
evil, dude. I don't know, man. That sounds pretty evil to me.
Totally evil, dude. And it's like one of the things that fascinated me, Rob, and maybe it'll be you. Maybe you and I down the line will get to do a documentary. I've often wanted to do a documentary and peel back time and see where this snake began. Because I was thinking, when did it begin? Because, like I said, in the 90s, we were thinking, oh, everything was cool, innocent. We didn't really catch it because
Yeah.
now things have fallen even farther. Now we can go back and we can kind of retrace the steps to when it was already starting to fall apart. Now, in the 90s, remember this, Rob, they started doing the demasculization of actors. Remember
Sure.
Mr. Nanny with Hulk Hogan, Junior with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot with Sylvester Stallone. So already you started to see the demasculization of men. Whereas in the 80s, you had, Terminator, RoboCop, everything was masculine to personified. But then you started to weed that out too, which is another big issue. Because if you have a generation full of guys, for lack of a better term, who are snowflakes, you're not going to have,
So it started with Bruce Willis, and now he's a man's man. He's a but the you have to overcompensate, right? So they had Rocky, I mean, like Sylvester Stallone, all the actors, the big jacked actors. So it's like you were like, whoa, that's bigger than life. The wrestlers were bigger than life. So
yeah,
you had to like catch up. You were like, a normal man is not sufficient enough to being the most dominant person. I got to be above
yeah,
all that, And then
yeah,
so Bruce Willis came along, and then that's kind of like, hey, you could be a normal guy and relatable.
yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with that. I
right,
like that idea. That's
yeah,
great,
yeah,
but it's almost like it's entertainment. It's not real life, right? So you have to create these characters larger life to overcompensate, to catch up, to be like, I want to be not just a regular man. I want to be beyond a regular man.
yeah, yeah,
And I feel like that's kind of almost a healthy thing. And that's kind of like That's what made all these little boys jump out of trees, roll around, making machine gun noises, because you have to. War is a necessity in life. Battles and defeating evil, as
Yeah.
long as that's what your intentions are.
Yeah.
And like I said, back in the day when I hung out with people that murdered people that
Mm.
are in prison to this day. So I
Mhm.
seen what snakes lie in the grass, and I'll tell you what, I don't fear strength. I fear weakness, because people that are weak will do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's true.
They're dead. So it's the weak you have to fear. But the characters of the demasculization, yeah, that's what's led us to this to where we are right now, where we're afraid to speak up about certain topics because the weak will panic, and
Yeah.
they're more in numbers, and they will swallow you whole and kill your career, kill your family. They'll take it all away from you just because you oppose.
Isn't it weird, Rob? Because, like I said, coming from two guys, now you and I both lived through what I would say was the last great age. I mean, honestly, I mean, I did an episode the other day with McCallion, and we were talking about Stranger Things. I know you haven't seen it on Netflix.
Yeah,
Very interesting because it's take place in the 80s, right?
yeah,
But it's done so well. It's like you're catapulted back there. And it's almost sad in ways to watch it because you're reflecting on how things used to be. And the characters are like people used to be. And
yeah,
it's like, and now in this incarnation of life, where, like you said, it's almost been elevated and rewarded to be weak. I
yeah,
I don't understand this
yeah.
philosophy.
Um, Yeah, and you asked when did it started? Oh yeah, I went on a big rant before. I have the answer. It started with this what we're looking through right here, this box, this television, right?
Yeah.
Because what you used to do politically, if you disagreed with your politicians, right? You went downtown to City Hall
Yep.
while he sat there and spoke to everybody. They spoke in City Hall, and the crowd didn't like it. They would boo you, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm just joking. We're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm just joking." The people were right in your face, right? So
Yeah.
what happened? You put a screen in front of them.
Yeah.
Now you can have other people talk for you. You had to be a good speaker, quick on your feet, and know the answers right away. Now they just recite something through a screen. You can't touch them. You
Mm.
can't revolt
Right.
if they disagree. You have to just that's when it all started, when the TV started coming along. They
Yeah.
knew that this would be the greatest tool to 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 be able to hide their agendas and get away with whatever they want.
Well, you mentioned the word right there, which actually has been slowly but surely phased out, and I wonder why.
Yeah.
Tell a vision.
Yep.
Okay, so you're telling someone's vision to the masses.
They-
And whether it's a phone, whether it's the internet, whatever it is, you're still telling a vision, right?
yeah, that's the spells they cast.
Yep. It's absolutely crazy. So Rob, what do you do to protect yourself? Do you try to stay away from TV? Do you pinpoint it? I do think YouTube is a blessing because it does allow people to still see a variety of content. But what do you do to protect yourself from any negative influences?
It's just I can't even tolerate it. If it's just something on
Mm,
that I don't really watch TV.
fair.
I watch dude, I watch Seinfeld and I watch wrestling. And
Yep.
I don't really watch Seinfeld anymore.
Mm,
And like like my girlfriend, she's like, I'm gonna watch trash TV right now. And she's like, just tolerate it, the 90-day fiance. And I was like, all right, I'll watch it. And
yeah.
I literally got aggravated. And I was like, I gotta walk away. I was like,
Yeah.
this is intolerable.
Yeah.
I can't even let this soak into my subconscious.
Yeah.
It's destroying my brain. And she's like, no, you're right, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. And how is that like, again, we're not going to use, a girlfriend or anything as an example, but let's just say like some of your former friends or people that are your friends and they see this change in you. How do you explain it to them? Like, because obviously they're going to start saying, "Man, Rob, you're not the same guy. Like this is unbelievable. I just want to watch this." Like, how do you care on some level, or do you just try and explain to them, "Hey, this is what I've learned." How do you deal with that?
I don't know. I don't really, I can't think of a real situation at the moment.
Mhm.
I mainly, if I'm hanging out with someone, it's very rare I just hang out with someone to not do something. I'm a builder. I need to always constantly build something or create.
Yeah.
I have a few selected friends that I go eat with.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm not a very just I'm either at a wrestling show or having band practice or on the road, and then I'm just talking about imagination and creation and things we could do in the future.
Mhm.
I'm not a go to the movies guy. I'm not an enter. I don't like too much entertainment. Like if it's not wrestling or so, as I don't really get put in those positions really.
Now I know why you and I get along, Rob, because
Yeah,
I was just telling my wife this the other day. I said, I'm the type of person I can't just sit there and zone out if it's like Christmas and hours. I'm thinking in my head. I want to create, right? So
yeah,
I again, it has to have a purpose, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
yeah,
And I like you know, my go-to is wrestling or I'll watch like Stranger Things or something like that. That's about it. I'm not gonna dibble and dabble. I don't go to the movies anymore because, quite frankly, majority of it, 9/10 of it, is trash. So,
yeah.
you know,
Although there is Quentin Tarantino's theater shows old movies. I just saw Jaws there recently.
oh
Dude, you could tell it's so family oriented. You could tell it's all families that go there. The movie theater, the popcorn's like $6.
yeah,
That's actually something maybe one day you'd be interested to go to do. If you see a movie, I'd be down to go with you.
all
Um,
right,
they just show old classics. They show, you know what I mean? So
like Back to the Future or whatever.
yeah, yeah, all those intent, like all those classic movies, 70s and 80s and 90s movies.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I definitely would be up for that. And then as we kind of bring this episode to a close, so you mentioned about watching wrestling. So I must ask you, Rob, are you watching the modern wrestling? I mean, obviously to keep sharp with what's going on, but what's your go-to? Do you watch stuff from the 80s, 90s? What are you watching?
And, Terry Funk, Bruiser Brody, Iron Sheik, all the old 80s stuff. I watched the current product now because it started getting good. It started getting interesting.
Yeah.
WWE started being like, I was like, oh, Jacob Fatu is a friend of mine. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
they're trying to get real people
Yeah.
again. Like they're trying to get real, not manufactured wrestlers. I was like, dude, I should be up to date on what's going on in the modern product because it seems like they're trying to. I mean, look at the whole roster. The roster is in their. Everyone's in their late 30s to
Yep.
early 50s.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what does that tell you that that like you can't produce or make authenticity?
No.
That's why living the lifestyle I did, I know what it's like. I've been stabbed in the neck. I've been jumped by gangs. I've been, I've been through a lot of wild situations with a lot of wild people. And so the art of war and the art of fighting to me comes completely natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been fighting since I was 7 years old.
Hmm.
First time somebody, you know what I'm saying? Till maybe even this year, some things have gone down, but like it wasn't out of malice or maliciousness. It was out of protection.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to protect your family and you have to know how to protect yourself and your loved ones. And you can't let people walk all over you,
Hmm.
especially in this city where they do actions and you go, hey man, that's disrespectful. And they look at you like, nobody ever tells me that around here. And I'm like, I'm from New York where you're constantly reminded, hey, you're messing up. You better
Yeah.
protect yourself. I mean, even a 7-year-old man that I got an Uber driver one time was from the Bronx telling me about, working over dudes with a bat on his Pepsi line, and I was like, damn, I wouldn't even mess with you now. I was like, but
Yeah.
I come out to LA and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy, but you said something there about the roster, the age of the roster. I brought this up the other day on another show I did, and I said you're right because character, like you said, you can't. And I think, and again, it's no disrespect to anyone younger. Not that that's our demographic, because we mostly hit 35 to 60 on this podcast. But that younger demographic, what it makes me think, Rob, is how on earth can they ever get life experience when all they do is look at their damn phone? There's nothing they're going to sell to anybody.
and they're afraid to have masculinity represented.
Right.
They're getting told every day that if you do that, it's abuse or it's wrong, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
That's
What
not.
happened?
It's yeah, because guess what? When something happens bad, you're gonna look for that masculine man to protect you.
Exactly.
It's almost like they're put against the walls, you know?
Yeah. And it's crazy, but you said you can't fabricate it. If you look back at guys, and that's why I do appreciate, the places we're working now, you and I, you're starting to see that resurgence. Like you said, you're seeing it on WWE. You're
Yeah,
seeing those. These aren't just farmed. They're not just straight out of the freaking high school gyms. They're not, superstar athletes. They're fighters. They're
yeah,
characters. They're men and women that have endured, and they're men and women that also, most importantly, know how to connect with an audience because they have that life lessons experience. And I think you're only going to see more and more guys debuting later in their life. You're not going to see, and that's how wrestling was, Rob. Because if you cast your mind back to the black and white days, these guys were in their 50s, 40s. They weren't 20.
and not even in good shape by any
No.
sort. But they were grizzled,
Yeah.
and you would not bat an eye at them, and you would pay the price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
yeah,
So you're starting to see that. Like you said, I mean, Cody, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho, I could go through Edge, who's now, back in AEW, all these guys, 40s, 50s, and you can't argue the guys that are under them in their 20s. I don't even know I don't know their names. Rob, I don't even know who they are.
because they're thinking moves, not characters. So the thing is, when you just focus on moves, and I even hear this from younger kids that say, "I understand what you're saying, Rob," but guess what my peers are saying? They're like, only thing that matters is that 30-second or 10-second clip that they see on a meme, and that they think that that's gonna get them to connect. Yes, you'll get a wow.
Yeah.
You'll get a, oh wow, that was cool. That's like, it's like going to a fireworks show.
Yeah.
You remember the name of any of the fireworks you saw?
No.
No, but you're walking back to your car, you see an altercation, you see a guy stab another guy. You're going to drive home. You're not going to talk about the colors in the air. You're going to talk about the emotional pull that you saw in the parking lot at the fireworks show.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, that's what I remember the most.
Yeah.
The spectacle only goes so far. Connection goes all the way, a lifetime.
Yeah, big time. I'll bring it up again. I'm not going to mention who it was, but I did see something on Instagram a few months ago that really, really irritated the crap out of me, Rob. It was a guy had thrown another guy into a corner. And then instead of just running in with a clothesline or whatever he was going to do, or just whatever, he goes to the other side of the ring, does 3 or 4 flips just to elbow him in the chest. Like what the hell was that? What was the purpose of
Yeah.
doing flips? Like seriously, and this guy's just sitting in the corner waiting for him. Like visibly, you could tell he's waiting for it. And I'm like, this is idiocy at its best. Sorry. It's
No,
just
it's it's not conducive to the product.
no.
It doesn't connect. That doesn't connect.
No, no. You got to tell stories, man. That's why we remember characters. That's why I believe in the future, the world of professional wrestling is going to remember Rob McKnight. I truly believe that, Rob. You impress me as a human being. You've got character, and I just hope and pray for you for your endeavors in your career that you get there. As much as we all want to get there, I pray that you get there and you get
I'm
your
already there.
no, but I mean WWE or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know we're already there. I know we are, Rob. But it's just like you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I want to be there.
I hope you get a grand, that moment where you can go and put some of your influence there and share it with the rest of the world. But I do want to thank you. I definitely want you to come back on when we
Sure.
do have Rico. I want you to come on with Paul Roman and Mario and I. Come back on with McCallion and we'll do some cool projects, some cool episodes and whatnot. Have you got anything you want to say in closing before we sign off?
Just never let the dream die. Always work harder than yesterday, and keep your family and loved ones close, because this is a short journey we're on.
Yeah, yeah, it is short, man.
Yeah.
I say that for sure. Yeah,
thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, Rob.
Great talk. I wasn't in the mood to talk this morning, to be honest. I was like, I don't know anybody, but and I was like, no, just do it, because that it'll put you in a better mood.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel great now. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Absolutely. We appreciate you, Rob. We
Yep.
appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you lay the smack down on that subscribe button. I'm not going to keep repeating it. Make sure you do it. Hit the like, share with your friends and family, and make sure you join us right here next week for Style in the Podcast. I am the Master Amir. This is Rob McKnight. Until next time, everybody, God bless.
Ba boom.